Marshall in the middle.
Tell me about. So I believe that the universe taking care of us is a spiritual thing. I think that somehow deep inside, there's a regenerative effect of our world if we'll tap into it. Take a
Yeah.
minute, if you don't mind, and tell me a little bit about your spirituality and what keeps regenerating in your life and what keeps you going on those long road marches or humping off the drop zone in the middle of the night, wondering if that's the real Steinerade or if that's somebody with a flashlight messing around, right?
That's interesting. Growing up Southern Baptist for sure, I think I had a good idea of what kind of religion was, but not my individual spirituality, because I think there's a difference. And I gotta say, on my first deployment overseas with guys like Marty and all the rest of the troops that I went with, I was really questioning things. How could my first time I deployed, I went to Iraq, and Iraq for me, it was like it just there was a lot of destruction and death and chaos and all kinds of stuff, and I was really thinking like, well, how could there be like this benevolent higher power and then, like this stuff is happening? And I actually had I had a lot of close friends and classmates die on that first deployment. My West Point class actually leads we have the dubious distinction of having the most deaths of any class since Vietnam. So that's not a great distinction to have, but we had a lot, a lot going on. So I started questioning my spirituality and trying to find it. So I did a lot of reading. Buddhism, Hinduism, Catholicism, every ism you can think of, right? Just trying to find out what, I grew up Southern Baptist Christian. What does that mean? And I think along the way of that search, I found little bits and pieces of a lot of different things. But the one kind of constant was that there's got to be something out there and it's pulling on me. It's pulling me in this direction and I need to listen to it. And that's what I base a lot of my spirituality on today. I was lucky enough to read the entire Bible, line by line. And it was a great thing for me to, I'm a reader. I like it's a bookshelf back there. And when, reading it line for line, and I have a Quran upstairs as well. And I have a lot of kind of Buddhist stuff back here as well. I have a Zen manual, Clarice Bryan, Expect Nothing, that changed my life. I've read so much of this stuff, but all of it says one thing to me. It's like the universe is calling, listen. So that's how I would, I categorize myself today as a Christian. That's how I'd identify. And I got Philippians 4:13 is tattooed on my arm and stuff like that. I really do believe in phrases like that. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, for those that don't know. But it's all about this kind of universe pulling on me. And I think as I've listened to that, kind of that spiritual core of myself, which is, goes with all these other pieces of your fitness, your mental fitness, your emotional fitness, all that other stuff. I think I've been healthy, if you could call it that. The things that have happened, instead of it being like when I was younger and a kid, like thinking I could just be successful and being this overconfident, jerk off. I stopped doing that, stopped competing with everybody and start pulling back and listening to some universal thing pull me in a direction and going with that. I think that's where my true connection to humans, like network and all the rest of stuff, actually came from me just listening to a universal thing.
Marshall in the middle.